one of the insiders that I was speaking to here in Brazil gave me a timeline about what happened when you won in 2018. There was a moment where even the opposition didn't believe you won. And they were starting to question whether you really won or not. And later on in April of 2018, there was a hacker where they asked them, was there actually a hacker that hacked into the voting machine? And there's this conversation being had. And they said, yes, there was a hacker that invaded the TSE system, which is a superior electoral court. And then the elections happened first round, October 7th of 2018, first round. This is against Haddad. Then second round happens October 28th. Then in November 7th, the magazine, Tecmundo, published an interview with a hacker, anonymous hacker, nobody knew the name, but they knew who it was, that said he was inside the system with the login and passport of a judge that I think you appointed, Sergio Baños from TSE. Then on November 9th, Tecmundo informed that federal police and TSE opened an investigation about this case. Now, whether he gave the judge gave the passport or the hacker got into getting the passport, nobody knows what happened there. He probably was able to hack into it. And then in August 4th of 2021, while you were still president, you did a show. I think you did a video or something like that with Representative Felipe Barros. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing it right. You did a live stream with them talking about this FBI inquiry, and they did it as a way to pressure the Congress to approve the printed vote bill, like bringing back the paper ballot. The next day, so that's August 4th, you do the video, 2021. The next day, August 5th, Alexandre de Moraes classified this inquiry. Has anything about this investigation been looked at more? Has mainstream media investigated this? Has this been talked about more? Has anything happened since August 5th of 2021?
You are very well informed. If I say everything that I know, I will be arrested a few hours after you put this on air. No one believed in my lesson. I was stabbed. And everyone in Brazil was scared. And that's because I was speaking to the people. I based my campaign on a biblical passage from John chapter 8, verse 32. And by knowing the truth will set you free. As soon as the second round of the elections ended in October 2018, someone reported a fraud to the Superior Electoral Court. And the TSE president is Ms. Rosa Weber. So immediately, she took steps for the federal police to start investigating this so-called fraud. All right? And I wasn't aware of this investigation. I found out about it in 2021. A couple years after it happened. It was Deputy Felipe Barros who brought it to my attention. He was participating on a committee in the parliament back then that was discussing changes in the electoral system. It was a proposal to amend the Constitution by the Federal District Deputy Bia Kicis. For us to, actually they wanted to implement the printed vote alongside the electronic ballot box as it happens today in Venezuela, as it happens today in Paraguay. And someone found out about this investigation. The commission voted unanimously. It was approved and they went to get that inquiry at the federal police. And when he arrived at the commission, I also got a copy because it was open to everyone, you know. It wasn't a classified investigation. And I presented this inquiry in my meeting with some ambassadors. And why did I arrange that meeting, you ask? Because 2 months before, the president of the Electoral Justice at the time, who was Mr. Edson Fachin, also met with ambassadors and concluded his meeting by saying the following. As soon as the Superior Electoral Court announces the winner of the elections, your respective heads of state must acknowledge the winner. It seems he already knew who was going to win. Well, when showing it to the ambassadors, the next day, this inquiry was classified as confidential, secret. If anyone said anything about it, they would be arrested. It's Brazil's policy. Arrest first, ask questions later. This is our freedom of speech. This inquiry is still open. But now what can I tell you in advance? This inquiry,
It's still open till
it's
today.
still open to this day. It has not been closed. No officer agreed to close the inquiry without an unbiased opinion. That's it. They didn't agree. It's still open to this day. Since 2018. It will be 7 years now in November. If I disclose what's within these 3 pages, they will arrest me on the spot, immediately after I speak, right after you. Right after the moment you share that piece of information. So that's why I'd like to keep this confidential for the moment. But I do hope that this investigation becomes public. We don't have freedom of speech in Brazil. If you talk about vaccines or question the electronic voting machines here, you get arrested in Brazil. This is the problem we are facing at the moment. They're going ahead and accusing me of a bunch of things. But all of this, the origin of all of this, is that they say that since 2019, I started discrediting the electoral system to carry out a coup. It's their accusation, right? Now since 2012, I have fought for the printed vote. In fact, in 2016, I approved the printed vote. That was in 2015. Dilma vetoed it. We found a way to overturn Dilma's veto, and then the Supreme Federal Court, in an 8-3 decision, said no. They said that the printed voting was unconstitutional. I don't know on what basis. And this electoral system of ours continued, which is the electronic one. And according to an external audit from 2014, requested by the PSDB party, that audit states that the electronic voting machines are unauditable. You brought up many points. I'm not going to say whether it's true or false, but I can say you're very well informed. By opening the black box of this inquiry, you can solve the issue here. You can resolve the issue of the Brazilian electoral system that has been dragging on. This will come to light, and it has to happen sooner or later.
Yeah, so the person I was speaking to was saying that originally the workers' party was paying this hacker to find a way to flip 10 to, whether it's 8 to 10 million votes, because on the first run, the October 7th, I think, election, you beat them 49 million to 31 million votes. It wasn't even closed. And then on October 28th, the second round, it was by 10 million. So the Workers' Party wanted to give him money to flip. I think your number was 17 in 2018. This recent one, you were 22. But they wanted it to flip. And then when that didn't happen, they didn't get paid. The guy didn't get paid, and he went to the magazine. My question for you is the following. I don't know if this is true or not. I don't live in Brazil. I'm not involved in Congress, Senate, Supreme Court. I am a person that lives in America. Has this hacker at all done any other interviews anywhere else? Because if anybody knows who this hacker is, that magazine, they know exactly who the hacker is because they did the interview, unless if the email was sent anonymously. Has that hacker ever come out and done any other interviews with anyone else?
I think that with the exposure of your journalistic report, given the coverage and the audience you reach, this hacker might be found. I think it's possible that will happen. Now, the complaint made to the Superior Electoral Court at the end of my elections was very well prepared. So much so that it led the President Minister of the Superior Electoral Court, Mrs. Rosa Weber, to formally request the federal police to open an inquiry. And it was well executed. I'll even tell you something here. I faced 3 search and seizure actions. One to seize my vaccination card, right? Another to seize my passport, right? Among other things. One of the searches and seizures took place right here in this building. They took some papers from my desk, and then there was an accusation that I had done renovation work on my house worth 900,000 reals. A house that was valued at 98,000 reals. The house was worth 98,000 because property prices aren't adjusted in the income tax. I did the renovations, paid via PIX, and declared it in my income tax. This document, according to the newspaper O Globo, was seized here at the headquarters of the Liberal Party. And then I told them, Federal Police, I want you to leak the 3 pages of inquiry 1361 that were on my desk. And I want to know if you're willing to give me 2 hours to discuss any topics. Whether it's this one, the accusations of receiving gifts, accusations regarding vaccines, or the coup issue, I'm at your disposal. You will have the biggest audience in Brazil's history. I'm sure of it. TV Globo, which has been attacking me for years, remains silent. So, I've handed this issue over to my lawyers. And in my defense, I hope to have full rights to defend myself. This inquiry will be called upon to explain that I never tried to stage a coup by criticizing the electronic voting machines in 2019. Especially since we are going to have this inquiry, I should mention that I was the author of several amendments that allowed for printed voting in the past. Since 2012, I've been a strong proponent of printed voting because I believe in the reliability of the machine, not the programmer.
So if the hacker has the courage to come out and sit down and show exactly every documentation he had that he revealed to the magazine that Alexandre shut down on, I believe, August 4th or 5th of 2021, if that were to come out, how do you think the Brazilian people will react to it?
Look, you don't even need the hacker. The inquiry alone is enough. Because the information provided didn't come from you, from this person, or that person. It didn't come from witnesses. It came from people who worked with
but
the
Alexandre's not
justice
going to
system
release it.
itself. It was the head of IT. Do you know what I mean? Right? It was people from the tribunal itself who provided the information in these 3 pages from within the Superior Electoral Court. You don't even need the hacker. If the hacker showed up, all the better. He would provide all the mechanics of it, right? However, the statements from the Supreme Court personnel, important people, they shed light on the events of 2018.
Have any whistleblowers come out yet? Has there been any whistleblowers?
No whistleblower came forward to make a public complaint. So because this anonymous complaint was so well crafted? Well, because of that, the Supreme Court decided to launch an inquiry. It wasn't just a random accusation, it was very well crafted, which led the electoral justice system to believe that something was wrong there. If something was indeed wrong, I would be the one to lose my mandate. And the one who wanted to take my place was the leftist, communist, and Workers' Party member, Haddad.
Yeah, but when so the reason for a whistleblower in a situation like this to not come out is they're afraid, right? What if I come out and what if they find out and what happens to me? In 2016, where WikiLeaks came out with Julian Assange, everybody looked at those emails and the documents. Well, wait a minute, this is what Hillary Clinton was here. So in this case, for me, if you're going against Lula, Lula is not Biden. To me, Lula is Hillary Clinton. Lula has a lot of experience. Hillary Clinton has a lot of experience. If nobody thought Trump was going to win, when WikiLeaks came out, when the Comey letters came out talking about what Hillary did a week or 2 weeks before the election, everything changed. Do you think the reason why whistleblowers are afraid of come out because they're worried what the Supreme Court and De Moraes will do to them?
Maybe the whistleblower is not even in Brazil. He wants to keep selling his hacker services. Maybe that's why they don't want to get involved here anymore, perhaps. But as I told you, the hackers are dispensable. The inquiry itself, if it gets into your hands, for example, just call me and I'll tell you the 3 pages that show what really happened in 2018.
Okay. Well, I mean, again, the right people are going to see it. It's going to take a lot of courage to do this. Maybe if they were to come out, I guess the worry they would have is if you're married with kids, because sometimes these guys that come out, they don't have any kids. But maybe if they were to come out, they would need to move to a state like Florida to feel a little bit safer in the interim, because it's that important. Especially to me, I'm an American. I love America. But my mother's Armenian, my dad is Assyrian, and I lived in Iran. Iran used to be a beautiful country in the 60s, 70s, pre-revolution. There was no issues in the Middle East when the Shah was president and when he was the king. Once Khomeini and the rest of the regime came, there was chaos. For somebody who knows this information and they know was used against you. And for them to not come out, it is almost it almost shows a lack of, I don't want to say love and pride in your country. It's very hard, don't get me wrong. But I think if they do come out, they will be a hero that they'll be looked at for many years to come. And they'll put the fear in the justice system to not be able to bully the next Bolsonaro, that they will do. If they're able to do it to you, they're going to continue doing it to Nicolas Ferreira. They'll do it to Gustavo. They'll do it to Eduardo. They'll do it to anybody and everybody that comes next, because Pablo Belinsky, it'd be any of these guys that they'll go after. So anyways, that was a message more for the person that's, if they know, it'd be courageous to come out.
Forget about the hacker. Look at me. No matter what happens to me, no matter what happens to me, in due time, the truth will be known.
You're certain of that?
Absolutely.
Brazil, I'm so glad you're watching this. I want to tell you something here. Do you know what's the one thing tyrants or criminals in politics, in your government, you know what's the one thing they hate? Is for the people to have hope. It's been said, man and women can live 40 days without food, 4 days without water, 4 minutes without air, but only 4 seconds without hope. When I was in Brazil, we had dinner with Nicolas Ferreira. And while we're having dinner, we gave him a shirt and we took a picture together. It's called Future Looks Bright with Brazilian flag. I would love nothing more than to see thousands and thousands of people in Brazil to wear a shirt that says Future Looks Bright with your flag. Just for Brazil, we made these custom shirts for you. If you want to inject the spirit of hope in Brazil, go place 1 order, 2, 3, buy it for your peers, your family. Click on a link below or go to vtmerch.com and sport your Future Looks Bright shirt in Brazil. Let the dictators, let the tyrants get so angry the fact that you are optimistic about the future. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.